Hello, I am Hydrabread. I would like to start off this video by saying that I am a huge fan of Dragon Ball. I enjoy every part of the series, from Goku's childhood to Goku's adulthood, and I even have an appreciation for Dragon Ball GT. But these days, I can't go into the comments section of a Dragon Ball YouTube video, or any forum thread, or even a Discord discussion without hearing somebody trash talk Dragon Ball Super, a series that I love. And it's a real shame, because this series has single-handedly resurrected the franchise, which until its release was only sticking in the heads of its fans thanks to the life support the video games provided. From the release of Battle of Gods until present day really, there has been nothing short of a Dragon Ball renaissance, bringing in millions upon millions of new fans. But this series did not reinvigorate the franchise because it's some mid-tier trash or whatever. No, that wouldn't make any sense. It reinvigorated the series because it was straight up fire. When people tell me they dislike Super, I gotta ask them, what part do you really even hate? Battle of Gods? Resurrection F? Universe 6 Tournament? Goku Black? The Tournament of Power? The Broly movie? What is there to hate in all of that? Well, in this video, I'm going to cover every single point of contention I have come across that fans have for Dragon Ball Super, and elaborate on all of Super's strengths, which I think make it one of the greatest Dragon Ball series to date. First and foremost, a claim that I see being made frequently is that Goku's character has been assassinated. To me, the opposite is true. I believe that Super expands upon Goku's character in all the right ways. Like in Z, Goku starts off living with his family, and this time around, he's even taken up farming. The Dragon Ball manga spent almost no time with Goku's family life. While some Z filler touched upon it just a tiny bit, here we really get to see a better glimpse of Goku's relationship with his wife and his sons. There's even an entire episode dedicated to the Goku and Chi-Chi dynamic, where Chi-Chi is annoyed that Goku's often off to train, but we learn that she ultimately understands his love for his hobby, so she supports him anyway. But Goku's not always off training or saving the world. He's often depicted helping out with the family business. In several episodes, we see Goku and Gohan bond together through casual sparring. This is very realistic. Gohan is a bookworm, while Goku is kind of a bumpkin. This is the one avenue that Goku can connect with his son. It's a common ground they've shared since Gohan's childhood. There is a common misconception that Goku does not care about the consequences of his actions and how they affect those around him, but this is absurd. Goku demonstrates his love for his friends and his family in some of the most impactful moments in the entire franchise. Take the Goku Black arc for instance, when Black says he killed Goku's wife. Even though this was Goku's wife in another timeline, which he has no obligation to care about whatsoever, he still erupts in one of the coolest rage boost moments so far. Would a man who didn't care about his wife get set off in such a frenzy? I don't think so. In the Tournament of Power, Jiren attempts to erase Goku's spectating friends and family, causing him to give one of the greatest speeches in the series. This scene is actually a catalyst for Goku becoming strong enough to turn the tables on Jiren. Even taking a step back, Goku constantly thinking about his friends is what triggered one of his Ultra Instinct transformations to begin with, as well as his sadness that 17 may have sacrificed his life. The claim that Goku put all the universes at risk so he's some sort of psychopath is such a shallow misread. Goku did not decide the universe elimination rule, Zeno did. He just wanted a fun tournament where he can meet strong people and enjoy his hobby, because Goku is a self-realized individual and he knows what he wants to do in life. And even then, once Goku learned of the consequences, he reluctantly revived his arch nemesis who he despised greatly just to boost the odds of saving everyone. And yes, everyone. Goku was planning on wishing back the universes with the Super Dragon Balls. There is a beautiful scene after Jiren is eliminated where Goku and 17 share a moment of mutual understanding that this was the right thing to do without needing to exchange a single word. Taking a step back, as I said before, Goku hated Frieza, so he had to swallow his pride to bring Frieza back. This is actually a clever recurring theme in Dragon Ball Super. In Battle of Gods, Goku accepts borrowed power reluctantly to become stronger. He doesn't want to do it as a warrior, but as Goku himself tells us, knowing everyone he loves is in danger is enough of a reason to swallow his pride. Goku only brings up fusion to Vegeta when he feels he can't win, because he realizes stopping the bad guy is more important than proving a point, which is some serious character development. In the Cell Saga, he threw Cell a Senzu Bean to kill him properly, but after seeing how that went, Goku restructured his priorities. Of course, Goku still loves winning his way, he just again restructured his priorities. Also, it's refreshing to hear how Goku feels from his mouth. Unlike the original series, Super lets us hear his introspection in key moments. It is only a combination of Z filler and the early English dub of Z that dropped the ball here by making Goku a stoic Western superhero. And because of this, people misremember Goku. Goku has been a lovable goofball from the beginning of Dragon Ball, and Super maintains this important personality trait. Goku always had this everything will be okay, we've got the Dragon Balls sort of mentality since he was a kid and saved Appa's dad. And going on to Canon Z content, he continues to be mostly nonchalant, but his positive can-do attitude serves as a beacon of hope for his friends. Consider how many times Goku says, "Hey, don't worry, I know we can do this. Gohan, Goten, you got this." Or, "I've got everything under control," or "leave it to me." But now that we're in Super, Goku has actually won every battle and even learned how to use Super Saiyan 3 freely, so he's even more laid back in some ways, becoming overconfident. You can see this from the onset when he isn't afraid of Beerus at all until he gets his tail kicked in. But flash forward to training with Whis, and Whis tells him this laid back attitude is a problem that he has to work on to grow as a fighter, and we see him work on it. This problem that Goku has had since Z in his character is now being worked on by Goku himself. He approaches battles like versus Hit and versus Jiren with a whole lot more caution. He even trains to learn Mafuba and better ki control. Of course, Goku still has senior moments like forgetting the vase or Senzu Beans, but he's an airhead trying to work through his airheadedness. I don't think enough people understand that in the real world, learning a lesson doesn't make you perfect. Adults still have problems, right? They work on them. It can be a lifelong process working through your problems. Goku is only starting on that aspect now, and that's very realistic. So to conclude this section, Super makes Goku a lot more layered. We see him work through his personal issues that he never tried to fix before with the overall tone of there's always room for improvement, even for adults. And what's a more perfect thematic match for Dragon Ball? Honestly, Dragon Ball is supposed to be about self-improvement and self-realization, and this is perfect for the continuation of Dragon Ball. Goku is not selfish, but he is self-realized. He knows what he loves to do, and he will keep on doing it, but cares more about the fate of his loved ones than being the strongest in the universe. This Goku is a huge upgrade from the Z Goku. And on a side note, the animators gave us a scene of Goku living out his match against Grandpa Gohan, blow for blow, and this scene is so powerful. But it's a blink and you miss it type deal. So I understand if people missed this great homage to Goku's character. The next thing I want to point out about that's fantastic about Dragon Ball Super is its characters. Toriyama has always been great at writing characters, so it's a pretty high bar to cross, right? And yet, time and time again, we do get characters who live up to that bar. Take Lord Beerus, for instance. He's a fan favorite character already. He starts off as a goofy, yet distant and dangerous guest. But we really see him grow up to be a part of the family as he reluctantly takes care of Bulma's baby. This is so endearing. Lots of people like Whis or find Jocko funny. The heartwarming story of the new Broly as a victim of abuse, who's a huge softie on the inside, is leagues better than what we had before. This Broly is on a whole other level of relatable and deeper than most characters in Dragon Ball to this day. And I can't even tell you how many people I've seen with Goku Black profile pictures between YouTube and Discord. Bottom line is, the characters have been consistently amazing in Super. Even the ones that get a lot of flack, like Jiren, have been given clear motivations for why they act as they do. And I love all the colorful designs. The characters based on Sailor Moon characters, for instance. Hit, the assassin, Kaba, the Universe 6 Saiyans, all those designs are great. I'm sure many watching this video are fond of the GOATs like Goku, Vegeta, Yamcha, Gohan, Krillin, or maybe even Roshi, who knows. The side characters are all given their own episodes in Super with time to shine, and we get to catch up with them and learn what they're doing with their lives. And Vegeta has been given so much love and care in Super, he constantly discards his pride to protect his family, such as when he dances for Beerus or refuses to save his darling Bulma.
Don't you dare try and guilt me into this, damn it! Alright, fine. Hurry up and teach it to me.
Seeing him grow as a father and a husband with all the touching, lovey-dovey moments is a blessing and a half. There are also a lot of great characters that have fallen by the wayside over the years, like Launch, who outright disappears from the story 200 chapters in, Chi-Chi's dad, whose role has been negligible since his introduction, Tao Pai Pai, who is probably still alive to this day, Monster Carrot, who is confirmed to be floating around in space, and many others. Yajirobe literally just did one thing in Z after his debut in the King Piccolo saga, and then bam, he's just gone. And ain't nobody ever complaining that Android 8 wasn't helping out in Z. Why do I bring up all these older characters? Well, I want to prove a point that Dragon Ball has been in the practice of rotating out old characters from day one to move the story on. It happened in the original story and in Z. It's not a problem that Super has. It's a deliberate story choice that has already been established in this franchise before. There's not much for old characters to do other than be decoration at this point, because the scope of Dragon Ball has expanded into space, and at this point even other universes. It's kind of necessary to drop old characters, yet fans have the tenacity to say, "Oh my god, I can't believe Krillin has no way of fighting Goku Black," or "Why don't we get more Yamcha?" When in reality, the story is just moving on, so it doesn't cover the same ground over and over again. Let me ask you this. Would you rather watch every old character fight side threats like they did in Z every single arc over and over again? Or would you rather see something new? Because at that rate, we'd just be seeing Super Cybermen or Jiren Juniors, and I think that the trope has been beaten to death. But you know, these characters can be respected without being relegated to the same insulting roles in fights over and over again, or breaking power scaling by all becoming gods. And how, you may ask? Seeing them live their lives as people and friends of Goku and company. And Super delivers on that. We see them partying together, playing baseball together, reminiscing of old days, and just carrying out ordinary conversations.
I'm so close. Stupid Earth games.
Clearly, Super is respecting these characters with all the side episodes they get, but it is also making way for new characters to keep the IP fresh. Another complaint I always see is the power creep is way too fast. The moment God is introduced, it is overshadowed by Blue, then Blue Kaioken, then Ultra Instinct. First off, I'd like you to take off your nostalgia goggles for a hot second. Just how long did Super Saiyan last before Super Saiyan 2 showed up? One arc. How long did Super Saiyan 2 last before Super Saiyan 3 showed up? One arc. Heck, characters went from street level to blowing up the moon in one arc. Dragon Ball's power escalation has always been ridiculous, but that's literally a huge reason people love Dragon Ball. Each arc is exciting. It makes you wonder, what power will Goku get next? The forms all pretty rad designs too. Like, I really love Super Saiyan 3's long hair. I think that returning to Goku's basic hairdo for God was a pretty neat move. And Ultra Instinct has that nice little roar to signify the great ape within Goku, right? And all these forms have cool designs. But Super Saiyan 2, back in Z, was so hard to tell apart that people actually debate manga panels to this day over when it's being used or not. And that problem isn't in Super anymore, because the use of color changes and aura color changes, and just aura style changes, is a simple yet effective distinction. and a way of saying Goku has surpassed his limit again, which we as fans get hyped for, just like many people get hyped for the next Marvel movie. Remember Blue Kaioken? Well, when that first aired, it made the internet go wild. Remember Ultra Instinct? When that first aired, it was so hyped that it made Crunchyroll go down for a bit. Guys, I guess Goku is outerversal. He affected the real world with UI. Jokes aside, if your best complaint against Super is that you don't like the shade of blue Goku's hair turns, then I think we're in a pretty good place. Maybe Frieza's power creep was a little out there. Maybe he got too strong too fast. But at the end of the day, bringing back Frieza has given us many cool moments. He's become the iconic villain of the series. The Bowser, the Eggman, the Dr. Doofenshmirtz, and equalizing his power to Goku was 100% necessary to keep the story interesting. Think about it like this. Would you rather have a Frieza that comes back to Earth after all these years and is all hyped up and all that, and then he just gets one-tapped by Goku and he's dead? Or would you rather get Frieza that comes back with a vengeance, trains and gets a cool new form, and that motivates everyone to try harder? I think it's fairly obvious that this was a good move. And it also helps sell merchandise. And you can say, oh, they're being greedy or whatever, but I don't think that's fair, because a big budget translates to tangible things, like the Broly movie, which is universally adored. But since we're on the topic of budget, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the animation of Dragon Ball Super. Early on, yes, this was a problem. They knew how bad it was, they said how bad it was, and they went in and they fixed it right after the recap arcs. Literally, if you want consistent animation quality, you can just jump from the 2 beautifully animated movies straight to the Universe 6 tournament arc, because the animation picks up and becomes very good right there. The quality continues to the very last episode. So on total, the animation of Dragon Ball Super is consistently good. You just gotta know what to watch if you want to see the good animation. And if you care more about less superficial things than animation, you can watch the early episodes too and see all the cool details that were added to the stories of these 2 movies, which I highly recommend, because even though the animation fell behind at the beginning, the story remained pretty solid, but skipping them in favor of the movies does not hurt your viewing experience at all. The art style changed, and to some this looks off-putting, but I actually like the new designs. They pop very well and help make the world look brighter and more colorful. The grittier Z style had its charm too. I'm not dissing it, but at times it could be tonally off because Dragon Ball is lighthearted and funny a lot of the time. I'm not saying that was a bad thing. Super is just playing to different strengths of the series. Both styles have their merits. During the Broly movie, a middle ground was found that looks even better than the original and new styles. So at that point, I think most fans are satisfied. Dragon Ball Super Superhero? That's not out yet as of recording this, so I won't speak to that style, but I'm overall very satisfied with Super's design and animation. Dragon Ball Super's comedy is another big strength that it has. Most of the jokes land. I laughed from the Yamcha episode, and Goku teleporting into Vegeta's house accidentally, and the jokes that ensued from all that. I laughed at Beerus's fake rival he made for Goku. I laughed at the Omni King's arrival with him being unexpectedly tiny. I laughed at Goku faking a loss from Satan.
Satan punch!
Oh! I forgot my dragon!
And Broly delivered some of the best humor directly from the pen of Toriyama. Super is super funny, and that's because it took a cue from the Buu Saga, which managed to perfectly balance the comedy of the original series with the intense action of the early Z chapters. And this perfect balance between comedy and action is delightful. And the music is, oh man, the music is top notch here. It's never been better, to be honest. The intros and outros are catchy, but the OSTs during battle are unforgettable, especially the ones from the second half. I'm not even talking about the Ultra Instinct soundtracks that get memed to oblivion. Just the battle music, period, throughout the entire Tournament of Power. That's blissful. To name a few: Instant Kill Battle, Knockout Blow, The Wall Before One's Eyes, A Fearsome Foe, and Limit Break are some of anime's greatest. Dragon Ball Super really knows how to set the mood. I feel that Z was always a little off with his musical scores. There weren't really many epic OSTs that sold major moments, only ambient ones that satisfied the stretched runtime to accommodate filler. Like, take Gohan's Kamehameha against Cell. It had one of the better tracks in Dragon Ball Z, but it still should have had more epic music playing during the final beats. It just doesn't quite satisfy. If you want me to back that up at all, just Google Yusei Run Cell Kamehameha and you'll see how that epic soundtrack enhances that scene so much more. It suddenly hits 10 times harder. Bottom line is, Super learned from the mistake of oddball music to make epic music during epic scenes, and soft wholesome music when the characters are just vibing. Another massive strength Dragon Ball Super has is its good pacing. The biggest problem with Z, in my opinion, is that it has a lot of filler, and it's not as strong as Super's at all. Fake Namek is less interesting to me than Copy Planet. Goku learning how to drive, funny as it is not quite as funny as Yamcha's baseball episode to me either. But the real killer on Z's filler is not the filler that you will see entire episodes based around, but more like the filler that jumps in the middle of canon episodes and breaks pacing, and we just have to take a long detour. For instance, there's an episode where a dead Vegeta is getting buried by Goku on Namek while Frieza just stands there watching. Boy, it sure is crazy how much weird stuff they got away with adding to the story back in the day. Luckily, this pacing issue is gone from the original Dragon Ball manga, and hardly an issue in Kai. Still, Super's pacing is even faster than Kai. It takes far fewer episodes to get through arcs, and they're completely action-packed. They deliver just as many beats. It's about as well paced as the source material, which means we don't usually stick on one thing for too long. 3 complete arcs are told over the course of 3 movies, and these movies are so accessible that they draw in newcomers to the series, better than showing anyone random Z clips. I think that having good pacing overall makes Super a better viewing experience than Z, and even better than Kai, because let's face it, if I want to rewatch something in Dragon Ball, I'm gonna put on Broly or even Battle of Gods. A common complaint is that Super has lost all sense of stakes, but in reality, Dragon Ball has never had stakes, at least not serious long-term stakes. It's always had in the arc stakes, like the universe survival arc, or Buu threatening to destroy everything. Sure, consistent, but every arc has had its consequences reversed. From Krillin's first death to Buu's destruction of the world, everything just gets reverted to zero by the Dragon Balls. Sure, threats exist before the stakes are reversed, but that's true of Super as well, such as entire universes being wiped. Hello? At its core though, Dragon Ball is an action comedy series, so I implore you to stop hoping for stakes. Toriyama is not that kind of writer, so you're going to be setting yourself up for disappointment if you think stakes are ever going to show up in this story. Toriyama likes returning the status quo and bringing everyone back. It happened way back in the OG series. It happened in Z. It will keep happening in Super. It's a part of the franchise's identity to give you a happily ever after, so it would be betraying itself if suddenly Gohan was to get his soul erased forever, or Goku was turned into a duck forever, or I don't know, whatever depressing thing you want to see happen. I mean, we're talking about a series where one of the first villains hunted down Goku by picking a column up from a building and throwing it into the air and surfing on it. And where the last villain was a man-child that turns people into candy and makes silly faces, and where the god of destruction is a cat who likes to eat and spares the world because the food is good. And another point of contention that I see is that the fights in Dragon Ball Super are less good than the fights in Dragon Ball Z. And I think that's a little ridiculous because there's actually a lot more strategy involved in Super fights than Z fights. Goku using energy landmines is a much more technical type of combat than what you see in the Z. Piccolo had that epic fight in Z against the androids, but he also gets a good fight in the Universe 6 tournament arc, which boasts quality to rival that fight. Most Tournament of Power fights are top-notch combat with more brain power involved than punch the alien lizard man until he dies. But I have to say, the early chapters of Dragon Ball had more variety in mind games and combat, so it has Super beat in that department. I'd rather see people using that as a measuring stick than Z when they complain about Super, because Z was just a who was stronger fiesta. And here's another strength about Super. The arcs are just superb. Remember Goku Black? amazing. Remember, Dragon Ball Super's theme is Dragon Ball, but now we have gods in the picture. I mean, technically we always had gods, but now we have like gods. And the Goku Black arc tells us a story about a rogue god, one that starts off a genuine nice fellow who we kind of get to sympathize for. We get to see him go through his journey, we get to see him become corrupted, we get to see him obtain some discriminatory feelings, and once he turns and he starts destroying humanity, we get to see humanity pulling itself together to fight back and ultimately overpower an evil god. It's a touching story, and when Trunks finally meets adult Gohan in Android 18, they have a heart-to-heart conversations that are very touching. Beerus doing his best to help Trunks out is overall wholesome, and the fan service with Merge Zamasu and Vegito is off the charts. Zamasu crying is comedy gold. While I personally found the way this arc ends to be clever and heartwarming, even if you don't like the ending, does that really invalidate how good the arc before that was? I think this arc is one of the strongest in the franchise, up there with Super Broly, Piccolo's introduction, and the Baby Saga from GT. It delivers in drama, music, powerful character moments, fan service, and overall aesthetic. The story being told here is just very deep, and I appreciate that. Universe 6 versus Universe 7 is also just very cool. We learn about Frost's backstory, how he was perceived by his universe as a good guy, but was actually performing some very corrupt workings behind the scenes. And seeing an evil Winnie the Pooh and a giant robot, also very neat. The Universe 6 Saiyans, gotta say, they're cool. And Goku dealing with Hit's time-escape abilities is also very interesting. Battle of Gods is some of the most character interactions we've ever gotten since the Buu Saga, and I'm all here for it. It also provided a very epic battle and was just overall a wonderful experience to sit through. Resurrection F is serviceable. It's got good action and comedy, and that makes up for it not adding much to the story overall. But it does bring back Frieza into the series as a whole, and it kind of sets him up as a recurring villain, and I think that's something that was necessary going forward. You know, iconography, that's important for a franchise. But Broly just hits this out of the park. Broly's story is so touching, as I said before. Broly is such a likable character. Heck, I even like Paragus. Yeah, he has flaws, but he loves his son. He gave up the latter half of his life to raise his son instead of chilling on planet Vegeta, and he really does want his son to integrate into society without starting problems. He taught his son manners, and his son respects him. Even if he is a scumbag, at least he's an interesting scumbag with layers. And even if Bardock is less epic now, his send-off to Goku with Gine puts tears in my eyes every time I watch Broly. The Tournament of Power is just action, and it ends with the climax of Goku's character and shows how far he's made it. The team up at the end with Frieza and 17 is unforgettable. Toppo versus Vegeta, the Ultra Instinct Kamehameha sliding up to Kefla and nailing her in the face. So many glorious moments. I can't even begin to describe how good that arc was. So yes, there is so much to love about Dragon Ball Super. So when I hear this is garbage or this is worse than Z, just know Super is special. Super single-handedly revived the series with masterful characters and storytelling. It knows how to create hype, it knows how to capitalize on that hype, and it introduced so many likable characters. To me, that alone makes it very special. But overall, just as a series to sit down and watch, it's incredibly pleasant, it beats out a lot of the competition, and it's just a solid anime. This is usually the part I say, subscribe, and like the video, and comment, and all that. It'll push the video out, but still I think it's important to also go back and re-experience Dragon Ball. I suggest reading the manga, and then watching Super. You won't regret it. And even if you don't like Super, please understand it's not objective garbage at all. It's actually something that entertains a lot of people. The general consensus of Super was that it's hype. If you look at my anime list, you'll see that a lot of people love this thing. I wish people would just respect the anime at least. Even if it's not your cup of tea, it still holds up very well. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video, and take care of yourself.